Are your employees presenting the right look for your dealership? In this episode, we're talking with Charles again about what is the right dress code for the dealership. Tune in to this episode of Down Payment, the podcast for used car dealers.
Welcome to Down Payment, the podcast for used car dealers. Prepare to learn something new about the industry that keeps us moving.
Check out all our podcast content on our social media channels. We are at Down Payment Podcast on YouTube, Down Payment Podcast on Instagram, and Down Payment Pod on X. In this episode, we're talking about dress code. You want to present the right look to your customers and meet them where they are, but also present that right level of professionalism. And it's kind of a tricky topic. And for this episode, we're going to welcome back Charles.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, Charles, it's good to have you back on the podcast. And for our viewers and listeners that haven't met you before, how about giving us a little bit of an introduction?
Hey, absolutely. My name is Charles Holmes. I've been in the finance business for over 40 years. I've worked with HR and financing and collections in training and development. I really believe that leadership skills and setting forth standards like dress codes is going to be a positive step for the business.
You bring that corporate background that I think is really valuable to the independent used car dealer space and brings a lot of perspective. You have both that independent used car dealership background and the corporate background. And I think that is a great background to segue into this topic of dress code and what we want to, the expectation we want to create.
Right. What do you want your dealership to look like?
Yeah.
You know, is it because we have to meet customers where they are. And I think there is a standard that needs to be set for those people who represent us. I mean, to be real, your salespeople, your people who are customer facing, they're the face of your business. And what do you want your business to look like?
Yeah, and I mean, when we worked together, we worked at a dealership that was very casual. And
Very.
yeah, I think we were kind of missing the mark there. What I guess my first question are what are the pros and cons of casual as you see it?
I think there's several standards to casual. I think as our society has changed, what's casual, what's professional, those things have changed also. I think the uber casual are those with the jeans that are too low, the shirts that are too big, the clothes aren't fitting correctly, and you look like you just rolled out of bed and came into work to deal with the public. I think there's another casual, and I think that casual is slacks and a polo, you know, and that meets all standards. But it also depends on what you want your company to look like. If you're selling new Cadillacs, you may want your standard to be a little bit higher. You may want shirt and tie. But I think buy here, pay here, when you meet people where they are, you really want to put across a professional atmosphere. You want to put across a professional look. And simply should be ironed out so everyone understands what you're looking for.
That makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, we had a very casual look going on, and what would you say to the people that say, "Well, this is how our customers dress"?
I think you want to portray a level of professionalism, whoever your customer is. And so if this is how your customer dresses, that's okay. I think their expectation is to see somebody who is doing a little bit more than rolling out of bed and coming to work in the morning. I think they're looking for somebody who's going to give them a sense of security, not being that overly topped, you know, suit and tie, suited and booted all the time, but someone who is professional, who speaks well, who knows what their business is, because that's all part of it. So even if you were to wear, we have the matching polo shirts, the varying colors polo shirts with the dealership's logo on that. That's one way. Um, Polo shirt or t-shirts that are nice and they're that are somewhat dressy. That's another one. But it all depends on what you want your dealership to look like.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for if you dress like a professional, you're going to be treated like a professional.
The way your salespeople, the way your business office comes across is going to be more professional if they take that extra step to make themselves look more professional.
Now, what about going like true uniform, like kind of the corporate dealerships tend to do, and have a set, this is our uniform polo shirt, and
Mhm.
you provide that, you require that. What are your thoughts on like true corporate uniform?
While I think that buy here, pay here, most successful buy here, pay here dealerships, they're they've been through the corporate uniform piece. I think the corporate uniform works. If that's However, there has to be some freedom for people, the individuals, and who they are. I myself would die under a corporate uniform. Um, however, um, if it's the right match, if it's the right color, if it's the right day, and it's right doing everything else, and that's what you need for your dealership to project the image you're looking for, then go for it. I don't think there is a right or wrong answer, except that too casual is not good. And then buy here, pay here, being too dressy is not good. It's finding that balance somewhere in the middle.
That makes sense. What do you think about dress code for the back office personnel?
Um, I think if you're going to do it for one, you need to do it across the board. I think that jeans are great. Jeans are great, even for salesmen. Jeans are great if it's a company with the right shirt and the right look that you're giving. However, I think if you're going to do it for sales, you need to do it for a back office. Of course, service is something totally different. But if you're going to do it for that or a back office, then you need to do it across the board because they interact together, and you want that professional interaction um, between front office, back office, sales, collections, and any part that you have should be about the same. And again,
Yeah, and
if you dress, you will act the way that you dress. So if you come in looking like you rolled out of bed, that may be your attitude for the whole day. If you come in and you're wearing the corporate attire or the things that will set your dealership apart from others, then that's how you will behave.
that makes a lot of sense to me. And I think treating both the front of the house and the back of the house on similar terms makes a lot of sense. I basically, when I think of it, even though the back office operation isn't strictly customer facing, we all face the customers regardless. They may
Absolutely.
see us only in passing. They may see us only on special occasions when something
Mhm.
goes wrong, when there's a dispute about something. There's always those interactions where that back of the office still ends up being customer facing, and it's often really important to present the right level of professionalism in those circumstances.
For example, collections usually doesn't see customers. But if somebody comes in and asks to see somebody directly, they should be prepared physically and mentally to go down and have that conversation and talk to those folks about what the problem is. But they need to carry that same dress code, that same attitude with them as they meet with a customer.
Awesome. Those direct customer interactions with collections are some of the most valuable, important ones that the entire business will have with the customer. Those are make or break it moments.
Yeah. And again, it's all about what you want your dealership to look like. If you want button down shirts and dress slacks, then there you go. But let's make it across the board. If you want polos and jeans, that's fine too. But let's because they're you have to think that your salesmen are the first people that your customers will meet. And when that's going to set the tone for the rest of that interaction.
Now, how do you have to customize a dress code for the seasons? What do you see as far as, I mean, like we're in Colorado, so
Mhm.
we have a pretty wide range of weather going on here over the course of a year.
I think that you would then begin with here's summer gear in the summer. Here's what we can wear because you're going to be outside. You're going to be dealing with people outside. Here's where we are. We're going to do the polos. We're going to do the jeans. Maybe even shorts if they're appropriate. Um, and then the following wintertime, here you're going to have a jacket on. You're going to have a jacket on when you're outside because it's cold and it gets very cold in Colorado. Um, and then but which we're under that is totally different. Just because you have a jacket on doesn't mean you can have a Eat Sam's t-shirt on. You're gonna have to still have that same attire underneath. And it may be a sweater, it may be a sweater vest and a button-down shirt. And there's nothing wrong with zeroing in on what the weather is going to be. What the in the same thing in the springtime with the rain that falls and you have to keep yourself dry, but you also have to look presentable and professional.
Nope, that makes sense to me. I think that really is the way to go when we're trying to present a better image for independent used car dealers, and especially in the buy here, pay here segment, but across all segments of the industry.
And
I think dress code.
specifically buy here, pay here, we already are fighting certain stereotypes. And so therefore, if you can just by that one visual appearance, and we're all visual people, we all see things. Um, First, before anything else, before you open your mouth, I see who you are and what you're wearing, and how you come across will make a big difference. There's a there's and I think so. I think there's a line that we have to hold when it comes to dress code in changing that stereotype. There's a stereotype of the car salesman anyway, but there really is the stereotype of the buy your pay your car salesman, and we need to change that because in most cases that's the wrong stereotype.
That's one of the most important fights that all car dealers need to fight. That is the good fight right there, and dress code is an important part of it.
Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate it, Charles. Thank you for joining us, and it gives a lot of perspective for dealers and dealerships to think about as far as updating and developing their own dress codes.
As always, Ted, thank you for asking me. It's great to be here.
With that, it's been another episode of Down Payment, the podcast for used car dealers. Check out our podcast on all our social media channels. We are at Down Payment Podcast on YouTube, Down Payment Podcast on Instagram, and Down Payment Pod on X.
Thank you for listening. Down Payment, the podcast for used car dealers, is a production of Meta Financial Services Incorporated.